at Earth's Call, I was in a conversation telling a story, and Chip wanted me to share that with you guys. So when that slide comes up, some of you might recognize this person. But before I get to that, I wanted to just re-emphasize putting all of this in context. We're right now in the Roaring Fork Valley. Only a few hundred yards from here, 70 million years ago, the greatest collection of mastodons ever found on this planet were located in a pond just a few hundred yards from now. 70 years ago, Albert Schweitzer came to Aspen and gave the only speech ever in the United States at the beginning of the Aspen Institute for Humanistic Studies. 33 years ago, John Denver launched the very first WinStar Choices for the Future Symposium. And 45, yeah. And of course, you heard Phil Lane acknowledge that as we're swimming in this river of time. Unfortunately, time is accelerating, and the urgency is real. So basically, I was fortunate enough to meet. Does anyone know who this is? And if any of you are, if she's your heroine, I have a few pictures of the one on the right with that cane. And I was 23 years old, and it was 45 years ago. And I was setting the lectern in place for her, and out of the darkness on a theater just up the hill from here, I heard this with that cane. It took a while to find that picture of her with her cane. And she comes over, and next thing I know, I feel a rap on my knuckles. She says, young man, are you responsible for this monstrosity of a lectern? It is so huge. If you had been doing your research properly, you would have known I was a petite little old lady. So get rid of that. So she was incredibly feisty. It was about 4 years before she transitioned. And she was in Snowmass Village to speak to the Life Sciences Subcommittee of the National Life Sciences in Space Subcommittee of the National Academy of Sciences, and her topic was the future colonization of the universe. She read these guys the Riot Act and said, if anybody leaves this audience mumbling under their breath, that dumb old lady didn't have any idea what she was talking about. You don't get away with that. You come to me and you tell me what you disagreed with in my presentation. So you can get an idea of how hard she hit my knuckles. Now, after her talk, this is 1973, a wonderful young Earth mama in a granny dress went to Margaret Mead and said she was in overwhelm because, remember, it was the beginning of Earth Day. Complete overwhelm, and she said, Margaret, I'm so fearful of my future. Where do we begin? What can we do? Well, Margaret and I was listening and trying to keep the little hippie girl away from Margaret Mead. She slams her cane down. I had moved my foot quickly. She says, young lady, you decide what you care about profoundly and deeply, and we're going to begin. The young gal says, where do we begin? And that's when she says, everywhere at once. You find people that care about what you care about, and just get busy and work your little buns off. So thank you for indulging that story. But you know, we're as a reminder, she told the National Academy, we are land mammals, we are social beings, and we live through stories. So let's think about what are the stories we're creating today. Okay, now it's my pleasure to introduce yet another friend, and that is, on our program, you'll find Aaron Perry. He's the founder and director of Why on Earth.
How are you guys doing? How you doing? How you doing? All right. We're going to do a couple of hands-on things because that's what we do here on this planet. And Maya and Anders are passing around a special gift. And we've got a couple of gifts for you from the Why on Earth community. This gift is about 1 billion or maybe 10 billion or maybe 100 billion new friends for you guys to connect with. This is soil from a biodynamic farm not too far from here. Some of you know it, I'm sure. So we're going to pass that around. I encourage you. Now, let me see a show of hands. Who's feeling really good today in terms of your neurobiochemistry? Really good. Okay. Who would like to feel even better? All right. Well, guess what? We deal in a very special offering. It's not a pill. It's not an app. It's not a financial instrument. It's soil. And when you get your hands in this soil, there are 4 cups going around. Hopefully we can share throughout the room. We know this enhances our serotonin production and does all kinds of other things for our neurobiochemistry. At the Y on Earth community, we are massively mobilizing in communities throughout the country, as well as internationally. And we are about to launch later this month a community mobilization kit. And we actually have the pre-launch 2-minute video to share with you all for this kit. So let me start with that. If we could get that video to play. Join us. We are mobilizing one of the biggest events on planet Earth. As Teddy Roosevelt once said, the greatest task before our nation is taking care of our land to ensure that it is in better condition for future generations. Not long after, President Franklin Roosevelt said that a nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. There's a corollary. A nation that heals its soil heals itself. We are, with thousands of people mobilizing in communities all over, engaging in this soil healing work now. Join us. With the Community Mobilization Kit, you'll have everything you need to lead in your community, your workplace, your church, your neighborhood, to mobilize people you know in soil stewardship, to help heal our planet, to help heal our culture, and to help heal the fabric of our social relationships in communities all over. The greatest party our human species has ever experienced is getting underway. In communities all around the world, we are mobilizing to regenerate soil, to heal our water, our land, to heal our food, to heal our communities, and to heal ourselves. It's the greatest party. It's underway, and you're invited. Join us and get the Community Mobilization Kit to get started. Okay, so in the last 2 years, I've given 150 talks and workshops all around the country, and also a little bit internationally. One of my weaknesses is staying on time. And so what I'm going to do, I want to share something as another gift and offering to Sally and to Chip and to the AREDAY community at large. I want to share with you all a soil stewardship pledge, and I brought this framed copy to give to the AREDAY community. And if I may, I would like to read it to you all. And Sally, if we want to have people sign this as they wish, that's one thing we could do. It's for you guys to do with it as you wish. And what this soil stewardship pledge says is as follows. I believe that my connection with living soil is sacred. I promise to be a faithful steward of soil and thus of Mother Earth through my direct interactions with soil, as well as the indirect influences of my personal choices and consumer demand. I promise to be mindful of my impact upon soil every day. I will compost all of my organic kitchen scraps and food waste. I will grow plants inside and a garden outside. I will touch soil with my hands every day. I will gently and joyfully encourage others to join our Soil Stewardship Guild. I will do all that I can to establish living soil installations at home, at work, and elsewhere in my community. I understand that soil building is a powerful way to reverse climate change. I understand that healthy, vibrant soil is key to nourishing food and clean water. I know that our existence as humans is dependent on soil. I vow to be an excellent steward and help others to do the same. So this is a gift for you, Sally, and for the AREDAY community.
Thank you very much. Can we get a picture? Where's our guy? Where's our guy? There we go.
The light is so bright.
We'll bedazzle them. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
very
welcome,
much.
Sally.
Thank you.
And now for a 30-minute PowerPoint condensed into 6. All right, so what we're doing is community mobilization for soil stewardship, for climate action, and to cultivate a culture of kindness. So I had a major life change about 4 or 5 years ago. Sally and some others in the room know about this. What it did is opened up an opportunity to step back, to do a bit more praying than I had been, and to connect a bit more deeply with my sense of purpose. Out of that process came a book called Why on Earth. There are some printed copies in the bookstore for those of you who like the real deal. However, I'm also going to share codes with you to get downloads of the ebook and audiobook versions if you prefer. There are 2 pillars in Why on Earth, thriving and sustainability. And it's really about connecting the dots between improving our own quality of life, regardless of our backgrounds, and thereby also enhancing the stewardship, the regeneration, and the sustainability of our shared planet. The other reason I ended up writing this book is because of these 2 people right up here. A couple of the most beautiful and intelligent young folks I know, who happen also to be my kids. And these are Hunter and Osha, so I'll explain a little more about that in a moment. My dear friend, childhood buddy, Brad Lidge, who any of you Phillies fans or baseball fans in the audience? Do we have a couple, maybe? Yes? Okay. 2008 World Series winning pitch. Lights out Lidge. So he and I founded the Why on Earth community together with a few other friends of ours, Katie Garces, Artem Nikolkov. And what we're doing is we're mobilizing communities all over to accomplish 5 key things: decarbonizing energy, recarbonizing soil, detoxifying our environs, detoxifying our homes, and regenerating ecosystems. The priority in all of that is healing our culture. One of the ways we do cultural healing work is by sharing biodynamic soil stewardship experiences with people of all ages. We do this with school kids, we do this with university students, and we do this with grown-ups at every stage of life. What we do when we connect with the biodynamic soil is connect with the living microbiome that is the reason we're alive. How many of us are farmers? Okay. At the end of this, you're all going to raise your hands. Here's why. Let's see you put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Our own free will and accord, our will and our heart. Guess what resides there and elsewhere? Billions of organisms, billions of non-human organisms. We each have a farm. We're each farming organisms every day. This is part of the healing work that we're doing. And of course, this slide is especially here for Sally. When we do this kind of work, we are also helping one of the biggest systemic challenges we face, which is brain health, which is the emotional, cognitive performance of our mind-body continuum, which is absolutely dependent on the microbiome. Those of us who get into this kind of work eventually have to end up asking, where does the body end and the mind begin? There's no boundary. You can clap to that. I didn't make that up either. You know, one of the other things, we're working in conservative evangelical communities. We're working in Rotary and other fraternal organizations. We're working in universities. We work with Jesuits. We work with all kinds of different folks. The Association of Waldorf Schools of North America is one of our partners. One of the opportunities this work gives us is to introduce to a lot of people the Sustainable Development Goals. You know, a lot of folks haven't even heard about this. And it's not a black helicopter kind of story. It's a global community kind of story. To be able to share images and videos of folks all around the planet working on these different goals is absolutely empowering and really fills people with hope. We love this. Why are we doing this? Can you read that? Okay. One of our old friends, Bill, forgetting his last name, he liked to say it's the economy, stupid, right? I prefer the word silly. It's the public. In democratic societies in particular, it's the public. We have to take those additional uncomfortable steps of reaching out to communities, perhaps that don't immediately agree with our top 5 talking points, to take that risk, to share. And I'll share with you all that as a young kid and into my high school years, I abhorred public speaking. This is not my idea of fun. I'd rather hang out in some of these little forest patches out here, to be honest. But I want to hang out in forest patches for a long time to come. And I want my kids and my grandkids to do the same. So I'm up here doing this. Because the future truly is in our hands. The degree to which we can connect with other humans, the degree to which we can introduce other humans to the power of the microbiome, holy smokes, we get to create an absolutely beautiful future together in short order. So we're just getting started with the Y on Earth community. And this is what we've been able to do thus far here in Colorado. If you go to the yonearth.org website, you'll see we have a mapping resource, Where on Earth we like to call it. And this is what we're doing in Colorado already. Here's what we're doing in the United States already. And here are our growing international connections with ambassadors, podcast guests, and others mobilizing on multiple continents. We are leveraging digital media. You may recognize a few faces on here. This is our videocast podcast series, Stewardship and Sustainability. Hunter is also one of the guests thus far. In the coming weeks, you'll probably see many more familiar faces on the show. We are also training and educating ambassadors to do this, to make that uncomfortable step of getting in front of people, inviting people and engaging people to participate in biodynamic soil activation experiences, and to help get on the path of healing and regeneration. When we talk about leadership, we necessarily talk about public speaking. We talk about words, the power of words. We talk about 4 keywords in terms of etymology. Oikos, home. We get economy and ecology. Wele, well-being, also where we get the word wealth. Humus, Latin, humus, humor, humility, humanity. Humus means soil. They all go together. And finally, it's really fun in the faith communities to get into some Hebrew with Adamah, the creation story creating humanity, Adam or Adam, from the soil, the Adamah. Here are some of our sponsors. We just got a Google ad grant. We're mobilizing even more digitally in that way. Here's our upcoming fall tour 2019. Love to collaborate with you if you're out in that direction. 2020, we're going nationwide. Already, collaboration discussions are underway. Here's our community mobilization kit. The code AREDAY gets you a 50% discount on that and any of our other digital book products. However, if you want to get any of the digital products for free, just use the code EarthDay, which works every day. My challenge to you is threefold to wrap up. It's an invitation. Do at least one of these things on the list. Number 1. Number 2, take those steps to enhance your own neurobiochemistry and healing. For me, that meant to quit drinking 18 months ago. That was what it meant for me, right? I'm sharing that because this is the kind of work we need to do personally to engage the leadership efficacy that our world needs right now. Number 3, cultivate that love in the grocery store line, in traffic, wherever you are. Cultivate that love. It turns out it might just be the force driving life on the planet after all. Thank you.